Tonight, the Prime Minister makes his case directly to Americans.
We do not want to see tariffs on our side. We do not want to see tariffs on your side.
Justin Trudeau goes on American TV to take on Trump's tariffs, as Pierre Poilievre lays out his plan.
I need the mandate to put our country first.
At issue is standing by. The unprecedented fire emergency scorching Los Angeles.
Fires all around here.
There's no safe space.
Our correspondents are in the disaster zone. And a CBC News investigation catches Canadian grocery stores overcharging for underweight meat.
I was angry, and I was short by what was equivalent to an entire portion.
So why is it still happening?
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. Two competing messages tonight from two rival Canadian leaders who both say they have the answers to Donald Trump's economic threats. The Prime Minister taking to U.S. television in his first interview since resigning. At the same time, Pierre Poilievre making his first public appearance since Trudeau revealed he's stepping down. Here's Ashley Burke with their key messages and who they're aimed at.
Justin Trudeau in Washington joining dignitaries and world leaders to pay tribute to the late U.S. President Jimmy Carter. Donald Trump was there too, but he and Trudeau didn't speak.
And joining us right now is Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
The Prime Minister did speak on American TV.
President-elect Trump has been needling you a bit, calling you Governor Trudeau, talking about making Canada the 51st state. Did you have any interaction with him?
No, not today, but that's not going to happen. Canadians are incredibly proud of being Canadian. President Trump, who's a very skillful negotiator, is getting people to be somewhat distracted by that conversation, to take away from the conversation around 25% tariffs.
Trudeau warning if Trump does impose tariffs, Canada would be forced to retaliate.
We do not want to see tariffs on our side. We do not want to see tariffs on your side. It's bad for people who have, for generations, made things together and been successful together to actually start creating barriers between economies like ours.
As Trudeau appeared on American TV, his main rival back home was already live on Canadian airwaves, speaking to reporters.
I would remind our American friends that they benefit from our affordable, reliable energy, and the alternative is Venezuela, Iran, and other foreign dictatorships.
Pierre Poilievre called on Ottawa to be more forceful with the U.S. and was asked what he's been doing to make Canada's case to Americans.
Look, I'm not Prime Minister. I respectfully ask the Canadian people to give me the chance to serve them in that role. But that's why we need an axe the tax election now. I need the mandate.
Poilievre says the best defense against U.S. threats is to have a fierce free market economy, and that's what he's promising to do if he becomes Prime Minister.
So Ashley, Prime Minister Trudeau also did an interview with MSNBC that's airing on Sunday, as I understand it, and he was asked about Trump's threat to annex Canada through economic means.
Yeah, Adrian, Trudeau said that sort of came up at one point during a conversation he had with Trump at Mar-a-Lago in November. And Trudeau said that they started musing back and forth. And when he suggested maybe there could be a trade for states like Vermont or California, Trump decided that wasn't funny anymore.
Interesting. All right, Ashley Burke in Ottawa, thank you. And there's breaking news tonight on the race to replace Justin Trudeau. Radio-Canada has learned the next Liberal leader will be announced on March the 9th, which means that is also when we will learn who the next Prime Minister will be. And at issue, of course, is standing by to tackle that leadership race along with Donald Trump's escalating threats. That's in just a few minutes. Well, Justin Trudeau also spoke tonight about the help Canada is offering to combat wildfires in California. Firefighters in the Los Angeles area are still locked in a historic battle. At least 7 people are now dead. A number officials warn could rise. About 180,000 are under evacuation order. More than 10,000 buildings reduced to ashes and ruin. The immediate threat is from at least 3 major fires. The smaller but extremely dangerous Hearst fire to the north. On the coast, the vast, devastating Palisades fire. And to the northeast, another monster, the East Eaton fire, all with little to no containment. Aaron Collins is on the ground in Los Angeles County. So, Aaron, can we talk about exactly where you are?
Yeah, Adrian, we're in the city of Altadena. That's where the Eaton fire has been burning since Tuesday. And as you can see, it's left its mark, right? 4,000 structures either damaged or destroyed, including this brake shop in behind me. You can still see the cars that were in for service when the fire just tore through here. And Adrian, the fire is still burning here, and it's still burning in spots right across Los Angeles County.
The scars left by the Eaton fire still fresh. More than 4,000 buildings either damaged or destroyed. At least 2 lives lost in this fire alone.
Fire's a lot worse, and the wind blows it.
Yeah, for sure.
And really quickly. And it just kind of overwhelmed the neighborhood.
This is the neighbor's garage here.
But amongst the devastation, a reprieve. Neighbors' homes torched, but this one spared.
How do you make sense of that the fire got this close, but your house is fine?
I don't think there's any sense to it. There's not a, there's no such thing as fate.
Of course, this isn't the only fire that's been threatening LA.
Just give you one last look at this.
The Sunset Fire took off in the Hollywood Hills last night, threatening some of LA's iconic landmarks, forcing residents out.
It was pretty crazy. I heard my neighbors, commotion outside, so I ran out the front door, and then all of a sudden I saw the hillside just completely engulfed in flames.
Firefighters were able to keep the flames at bay overnight. Evacuation orders lifted today. A relief, but lingering fear here, too. Fires all around here.
Yeah, I mean, east, north, west, there's no safe space.
The Palisades fire just north of the city still out of control as well. More than 100,000 people still out of their homes in the Los Angeles area. Officials here warning that as residents moved out, looters moved in.
If you are in one of these areas and you do not belong there, you are going to be subject to arrest.
Add to that, many people still without power and drinking water. A lack of water a problem for firefighters on the ground, too.
We continue to support LAFD and CAL FIRE and water supply issues and firefighting response.
Thousands of firefighters working around the clock to turn the tide here.
Of course, as it always does, the success of those efforts is really going to be determined by the weather.
And so, Aaron, I gather there's just a little bit of good news on that front.
Yeah, there is. The winds that have really been fueling these fires, is supposed to taper off by tomorrow at some point. And, that's really ideal for the firefighters trying to contain these things. The hope then is they stop getting bigger and they can be contained. So this is already the most destructive fire in the history of the Los Angeles area. The hope is it can start coming to an end tomorrow.
All right, Aaron Collins in Altadena, California. Thank you. Next to Lindsay Duncombe on the other side of LA where the Palisades fire is still raging. So, Lindsay, what have you seen there?
This community, I'm standing in the business district in Pacific Palisades, it's just gone. Block after block of destruction. This structure behind me used to be a pizza restaurant where people would come and gather. The only way you can tell that's what it was, Adrian, is you can make out those bistro-style tables there. And other than that, it is just pile of ash and rubble. Some of the ash and rubble we've seen today still smoldering. In fact, in this community, there were as many as 5 churches, and there were 7 schools, 2 libraries, a synagogue, all gone. And then there are the blocks and blocks and blocks of people's homes. We spoke to one family who came in to see what was left.
I think these terms have probably been overused at this point, but this was a really, really magical neighborhood with wonderful homes, and it's just flattened in a day, it's just gone.
Now, some of the most emotional conversations I had, Adrian, were with people who were standing at roadblocks pleading with police officers to let them come in. I spoke to one woman who was driving from roadblock to roadblock. She wanted to get in because her son was here. She wanted to bring him water. She's 83 years old. Here's what she said.
Our house is standing there alone. It's completely, there's not one obstacle between my house and the ocean. I mean, I just look down and it's just all gray, burnt.
Now, the threat is still real. There are still planes flying overhead, but people are beginning to count up how much all of this is going to cost, and it is astronomical. This could be the largest fire bill in U.S. history. We're talking possibly more than $50 billion.
Wow, so hard to imagine. All right, Lindsay Duncombe in Los Angeles. Thank you, Lindsay. Now, both Ottawa and several provinces are offering resources to help California in its time of need. And as Thomas Degg shows us, some Canadian assets are already on the scene, making a difference.
It takes skill and experience to drop water from that high up and snuff out monster flames like this. So it's no wonder California is calling on Canada for more help battling those wildfires.
We've secured additional firefighters and firefighting aircraft from our ally in Canada.
From sunrise to sunset, two-person crews from Quebec fly those yellow Canadair Super Scoopers, a familiar sight over forest fires here at home.
It's the boots on the ground, the men and women fighting the fire that actually put it out, but they greatly aid that effort by dropping water retardant foam.
Watch as the aircraft descends onto the Pacific Ocean, collecting some 6,000 liters of water in seconds, then takes off to fight the flames again. It's very intense, with the winds, the turbulence, and the sheer density of the population below, says pilot Pascal Duclos. BC-based Coulson Aviation showing how many times its crews have flown in, out, and around the fire zone. One of its Chinook helicopters spotted here.
We have thermal imaging technology where we can build fire maps and we can provide information in real time to the ground firefighters.
With the incoming U.S. president's repeated threats aimed at Canada, the Prime Minister reminded everyone this is neighbors helping neighbors, even appearing on U.S. cable news to highlight this country's contributions.
I've been back and forth texting with Governor Newsom. We've offered a tremendous amount of equipment that they're already accepting.
The federal government says it's directing the military and Parks Canada to help out if needed. Alberta and Ontario are pledging water bombers and firefighters ready to deploy to California as early as Friday. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Toronto.
A little later in the show, a look at the conditions fueling this perfect firestorm.
What we are experiencing right now in Los Angeles is extremely abnormal.
How the changing climate is a major factor. That's coming up. Well, the CBC News investigation has uncovered some big grocery stores overcharging customers because of misweighed meat. Sophia Harris first broke this story for us.
When Iris Griffin weighed the ground beef she bought in order to freeze individual portions, she says it was short, 134 grams.
I was angry. I was short by what was equivalent to an entire portion.
Griffin bought the beef at a Loblaw-owned superstore in Winnipeg. She figures the store overcharged her $1.27, an extra 8%, by including the plastic packaging when weighing and pricing the meat.
I'm being charged for this piece of plastic at the price of the ground beef.
Under federal rules, posted net weights on food labels can't include the packaging.
It is a violation of a mandatory federal regulation.
Griffin complained to the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, which alerted Loblaw. The grocer says, due to an error involved in a change in packaging, it sold a small number of underweighted meat products in 80 stores across Western Canada. The CFIA says it issued no fines because Loblaw fixed the problem. Okay, and weighing the meats. 1 year later, CBC News went shopping and found several packages of underweighted meat at 2 Loblaw stores and 1 Sobeys owned location, plus this Walmart. It appeared the meats had been weighed with the packaging. Calculated overcharges per item were between 4 and 11%.
Doesn't surprise me at all that it's still a problem.
Retired CFIA inspector Terry Lee says when on the job, she often found underweighted meat in stores. She says both the CFIA and grocers need to do more to protect shoppers.
It's a hidden cost to consumers. The stores, they need to do more auditing. They need to get in there and they need to check their weights more often.
In an email, Loblaw apologized for its misweighed meat and said it has reviewed all weighted products for accuracy and refreshed in-store training. Sobeys and Walmart said they're addressing the issues CBC found with third-party partners which weighed the meat. This consumer advocate says even a small weight discrepancy can, over time, add up to big profits for grocers.
Potentially into millions and millions of dollars. So there's definitely a need here for some kind of rectification that consumers get compensated.
When asked, Loblaw said it will offer compensation. Sobeys and Walmart didn't respond. Now, I also discovered 11 other CFIA cases over the past 5 years where the agency found that grocers were selling underweighted meat.
Okay, this is really interesting. I'm so curious, what kind of reaction are you getting to this investigation?
Well, my inbox has been flooded with lots of angry emails from shoppers about why it appears grocers face no penalties for selling underweighted meat. I also heard from a lot of people who say they found other products that weighed less than advertised, such as chocolate milk, tofu, and cream cheese. So my work here isn't done.
It absolutely isn't done. We'll be hearing from you soon. Sophia Harris in Vancouver tonight. We're learning more tonight about a cyber attack affecting hundreds of Canadian schools and leaking student data. Deanna Sumnak-Johnson now with what parents need to know.
Toronto father Jack Amendolia was sharing his concerns about an increasing number of cyber attacks at his son's school board when he got an email about a new breach. A major cyber incident involving PowerSchool, the application used by many school boards across North America to store a range of student information.
It could have been addresses and phone numbers, and so then they know, a child, a gender, an age, where that person lives.
This breach, affecting hundreds of thousands of families across the country, is the latest in a string of high-profile cybersecurity incidents hitting Canadian schools. Last month, Pembina Trails School Division in Winnipeg was hit by a cyber attack that, among other things, compromised personal information of students and paralyzed email and phone systems.
For us, that basically shut down everything we use, computers, PA systems, attendance online, there was no internet.
Gone are the days of signed paper forms. Information about everything from medical history to the names of people who are allowed to pick children up are submitted online. And all that makes schools and information about children prized prey for cyber criminals.
These are fresh identities. They take an address, a phone number, and a name, and can create a synthetic social insurance number and try to apply for things like loans online.
School boards or parents can also be asked for ransom money. Experts say one silver lining is cyber attacks often result in better security, like two-step authentication. Ween suggests parents push back if they're asked to provide information that seems excessive.
Limiting the information and where you put the information and what information you give out is key, and asking tough questions.
Something Amendolia intends to do as parents and educators grapple with how to bring schools into the digital age while safeguarding kids' data. Deanna Sumnak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
Many newcomers to Canada say finding a place to live is a real challenge. Why the housing hunt is such a struggle.
People can get on a plane anywhere in the world this morning and arrive tonight, but we can't get a house on a production line this morning and have it ready for tonight.
Plus, what's helping fuel the LA fires?
It's Los Angeles today. It could be Toronto tomorrow and Vancouver the next day.
We'll look at the role climate change is playing. And amidst all that destruction, a helping hand.
Is there anything we can do to help you, sir?
You can take these paintings, I guess.
We're back in 2. Those are the family and friends of the late Jimmy Carter walking alongside the former U.S. President's hearse tonight after a hometown funeral in Plains, Georgia. This followed a state funeral in Washington attended by the likes of Justin Trudeau and all 5 living American presidents. Joe Biden delivered a eulogy honoring Carter's character and political legacy. Well, those deadly wildfires in Southern California are proving tough to contain. CBC News international climate correspondent Susan Ormiston now with why the climate conditions coupled with the current weather created the perfect storm.
A smoky dawn reveals LA County's reckoning with deadly fire and changing climate.
This is absolutely an unprecedented historic firestorm.
And it was not out of nowhere. Santa Ana winds expected, but not at near hurricane levels, and they whipped up flames over bone-dry land. Since July, the second driest period in LA in over 150 years.
Normally, we should have a rainy season that begins predictably in November or at least December, and we've had nothing.
Morgan Tingley is a forest ecology scientist at UCLA. He can see the Palisades fire glow from his window.
It's Los Angeles today. It could be Toronto tomorrow and Vancouver the next day. The scale of what we're seeing is global. That is climate change.
The cause of the fire remains unknown, and it continues to be under active investigation.
What ignited the first flames? A mystery, but more explainable why they spread so hot. Scientists report that climate change caused by burning fossil fuels translates to a longer fire season and more intense, especially in Southern California.
The elements all come together to create kind of a perfect storm, and these conditions really allow wildfires to blow up and get really extreme, burn really fast, erratic, hot.
A picture that looks much like this, prompting shock and tears.
I just evacuated my house, packed all my things.
From people who've tried to connect the dots between climate and increasing disasters, this activist posted her frustration, then talked to us.
How many times have I sat here and watched other places, and now this time I am the place that other people are watching? This isn't just wildfires, this is hurricanes, this is floods. We are just the latest iteration and the latest casualty. It is incredibly upsetting. The fact that I can't sit here and say this will be a turning point.
To the contrary, a warning of more to come. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Toronto.
In the middle of a national housing crisis, the challenges of finding a place to call home gets particularly complicated for newcomers.
We should give up and maybe we should go back to our home country.
Our Welcome to Canada series continues with a look at the struggle to settle. After the break, Rosie's here with that issue. Hey, Rosie.
Hey, Adrian. Tonight we're going to talk about Trump's ongoing calls for Canada to join the U.S.
They should be a state. That's why I told Trudeau when he came down.
How concerning have these remarks become, and how are political leaders stepping up? While Ottawa also deals with leadership issues. Chantal, Althea, and Andrew join me to talk about that and more.
So many newcomers are telling us they're struggling to find affordable housing. In an exclusive survey commissioned by CBC News, we're hearing about immigration directly from the people who've experienced it. Alexander Silberman shows us the challenges some are facing.
Wow, they have visitor parking.
Vineet and Diksha Jain arrived in Saskatoon from India last year with high hopes for a better life and began searching for a home.
This looks like really spacious.
Yeah, it's spacious
for now,
plus compact.
They saw rising rents, but being new to Canada was the biggest obstacle. With no credit history, references, or jobs, landlords kept saying no.
I was feeling like we should give up and maybe we should go back to our home country.
The long hunt for stable housing held up their path to getting settled in Canada and focusing on finding work in their fields. After 6 months of renting a room, they eventually found a place of their own.
There was always a tension back of our mind that we need to get into some good and bigger accommodation so that we can prioritize and plan our future.
The Jains are among many newcomers to Canada reporting challenges finding housing. In a survey conducted for CBC News, 8 in 10 newcomers say they've had a positive experience settling in Canada, but just more than half say they found a home that is affordable. The cost of rentals continues to grow across Canada, with most units still too expensive for the average renter. The country is rapidly building new apartments like these ones, and that's helping affordability with a record number of new rentals this year. But housing policy experts say construction is still lagging behind demand.
Supply just can't respond quickly enough.
This researcher says an influx of international students and temporary foreign workers created a rapid surge in demand for rentals.
People can get on a plane anywhere in the world this morning and arrive tonight. But we can't get a house on a production line this morning and have it ready for tonight. It takes us 5 or 6 years to get a housing built.
Others say it's a matter of too little housing and argue Canada can't afford to scale back immigration.
But simply saying that we're going to slow the population and therefore solve all of our problems, I think is actually very short-sighted and distracts us from the work that we need to do.
Welcome to our new home, Diksha.
The Gens are glad to finally have a place of their own, but they worry for other newcomers arriving in Canada and say some landlords and scammers are taking advantage of their situations. Alexander Silberman, CBC News, Regina.
Now, Rosie's here to break down what's been a historic week in politics.
At issue tonight, responding to Trump's threats after the president threatened to take over Canada by economic force.
They should be a state. That's why I told Trudeau when he came down.
The Prime Minister made his case directly to Americans.
Anything an American president does to hurt the Canadian economy will also hurt American consumers.
And Pierre Poilievre laid out his response.
We will state clearly that Canada is a sovereign and independent country.
What can we make of how party leaders are responding to these threats from Donald Trump, and is concern growing given the nature of those comments? I'm Rosemary Barton, here to break it down tonight. Chantal Hébert, Andrew Coyne, and Althea Raj. Good to see everyone for the second time this week. I'm going to start with you, Andrew, on this. I wonder how you think Canada is managing so far in its response to these comments that seem to have escalated or intensified.
Well, it's difficult to say. It's so flummoxing, it's so off the charts, it's so, for want of a better word, insane, that it's really not, it's not easy to see how you respond to that or who you're responding to. It's one thing, I mean, the conventional wisdom would say, oh, look, emphasize to American consumers the cost of this. You saw the Prime Minister doing that. You know, find allies at the state level, you know, in Congress, et cetera. All those usual remedies presume some rationality in the White House. They presume that there's a president there who's actually responsive to a public opinion on this or conventional wisdom on this. It presumes that public opinion will follow the usual courses. And the state is in a very strange place right now. The president-elect Trump has had, I would say, a disastrous few weeks and months with some of the craziest cabinet appointments since Caligula. And he's gone up in the polls. He's in the positive approval, you know, net approval rating for the first time in his career. So things are not going according to the usual thing. And that also applies to how you deal with Trump. People are always talking about this as if there's some kind of grand negotiating strategy going on here, that he's some kind of master negotiator. And he's not. He's a terrible negotiator. He was a terrible businessman. He was a terrible negotiator as a president. He gave Kim Jong-un, the president of North Korea, a one-on-one with the President of the United States. This is a country with the GDP of Regina. Gave it all the credibility and prestige and got nothing in return. His negotiating strategy with Putin is basically to give him half of Ukraine. So there's no great strategy. He just likes to break things. He likes to blow things up. And that presents a real difficulty for anybody trying to negotiate on our side as to how to figure out what makes him tick and what can possibly dissuade him from this crazy course it's on, whether it is literally about trying to annex Canada or not. It's clearly not based on any kind of usual rational discourse.
And yet there are things being done, right? There was the Prime Minister for the first time on CNN talking to Americans. There's this retaliatory tariff list that they've drawn up. They're going to meet with the premiers, Chantal, because they have to do something in spite of the fact that this is, you know, unlike anything we've seen before.
Yes, and there was also Premier Ford going on Fox News, which I believe is useful to this case. But bottom line, Andrew is right. This isn't in the first Trump. For people who are confused, because this is the second time around, in the first Trump administration, there were a lot of adults in the room that Canada could deal with, that could influence the president. This is not at all. All those adults, by the way, suggested to Americans that they should not vote for Donald Trump. So many of the relationships that were built have disappeared for lack of someone to speak to. But what strikes me is that there are so few ways to deal with this that for the first time in 2 years, 3 years, Pierre Poilievre and Justin Trudeau are on the same basic page on most of this.
Yeah.
They're pushing back in the same way. I believe that the CNN interview that Justin Trudeau gave would not have been different if we'd sent someone else, his successor or Pierre Poilievre, to do the interview. And you did hear this week Donald Trump's response to Pierre Poilievre saying, we're not going to be the 51st state. What was the response? I don't care what this guy is saying.
Yeah.
So the illusion that we will change prime minister and it's going to change everything, forget that. We are not in that environment at all.
Yeah, I mean, Pierre Poilievre says he'll talk tough, but you're right. The strategy in terms of talking to businesses and regular Americans is almost the same. Althea, what did you make of it?
Well, I just want to say, I think the interview on CNN would have been different with Pierre Poilievre because he wouldn't have been talking about carbon pricing or $10 a day childcare. But I get the general point. I do think that part of the challenge is that the Canadian leaders are treating this in the same way that they treated the threat in the first mandate from Donald Trump, the list of tariffs. Like, we are assuming, to Andrew's point, that there are rational actors who will think rationally when the debate is framed in a completely irrational manner. But one thing the Prime Minister said on CNN that I thought was interesting was that Donald Trump is talking about the 51st state so that he's not talking about the impacts of tariffs.
Yeah.
What I thought was a missed opportunity is that on the one hand, you can't have the president say, we don't need Canada for anything. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their steel. We don't need their aluminum. And then not also say what he's actually after, which is actually you do need their energy. You actually do need the rare earth minerals because otherwise you'll be getting them from China. And so that argument hasn't really kicked up a notch. I do think that this is an interesting and valuable opportunity for the Prime Minister and the Liberals because they have been given a chance, and the Prime Minister has been given a chance to reframe the last few weeks of his mandate. That does mean that he needs to actually do the job, and the premiers and people on the calls, anybody you'll ask will complain that the Liberals, the federal government, has been missing in action. But if they do step up, nothing will bring the country together more than this nationalism, we have a common enemy now, its name is Donald Trump. So this is a remarkable opportunity that the Prime Minister and the Liberal Party have been given. Whether or not we're going to use it, I don't know.
Yeah, except that, and we're going to talk about this in the next block, it's happening at a time of a leadership race where other Liberals will be saying, well, I'm going to do this and I would do this differently. So, I mean, it's just the timing of all of it just makes it so much more complicated to deal with Donald Trump, even if we had some perfect strategy, Andrew.
Well, that's right. Now, two things worth saying about that. One is I do think it was interesting to notice how quickly a lot of figures on the right, including even Maxime Bernier, in his own particular way, moved to distance themselves from Donald Trump after that press conference. That clearly something broke when in Canadian politics after that thing. People really woke up, and I think it was very clear that if you were on the right side of the spectrum, you wanted to make sure you were not associated with that. And obviously the Liberals would be trying to tie them to it. So Trump had a target put on him after that in Canadian politics. But secondly, if there's not much we can do to dissuade Trump from his course, we were going to do something on immigration or on controlling fentanyl. Whatever you do on that, it's not going to move him off the tariffs. He's going to put the tariffs on. So we've got to be focusing more on adapting to the new reality of that this is who he is, this is what he does. That's going to require a lot of difficult measures to be done in Canada, which means we've got to have consensus, we've got to have leadership, we've got to have followership, we've got to have people willing to go where the political leaders are taking them. That's very hard to do when you've got a government that's as unpopular as this one, you've got a prime minister that's on his last legs, to summon that kind of national will. And that feeds into our negotiating strategy ultimately, which is, whatever measures we do, they have to be credible to the opposing side. They have to believe we'll actually do the things and we can sustain the political support to do them. So we're in a very weak position unless we have an election and clear the air about, who governs Canada and who has the popular support.
Okay, 30 seconds to Chantal, then I got to go.
And that's not going to happen for a number of months, probably between now and July 1st, but certainly not this month. I think that the Liberals need to think long and hard about the combination of the leadership campaign and this event, in the sense that I watched the Finance Minister, Dominique Leblanc, say, I'm not running. I think they would do well for themselves if ministers in critical positions decided not to run on that basis. Because Canadians need to know that they are taking care of business.
Yep.
And the worst signal to send is we're all going to go chase butterflies in the leadership campaign while this is happening.
Okay, and that's a lovely segue, so thank you for giving it to me. When we come back, we'll take a look at the Liberals as they prepare for that leadership race.
There will be tons of good quality candidates that will be preparing us for the next election.
We'll talk about the list of candidates so far, or the people that might get in the race. What can we expect from it? That's next. The Liberal leadership race, with potential candidates becoming more clear, other contenders are waiting to see how things unfold.
People want to see, obviously, what the rules are, including how much money needs to be raised.
While others have already bowed out.
I will be solely focused on the real economic threat that American tariffs represent.
What can we expect from the Liberal leadership race? Will the rules narrow the field? Let's bring everybody back. Chantal, Andrew, and Althea. Althea, we didn't get a chance to talk to you on Monday, unfortunately, so I'll go to you first just to get a sense of where you think the race is going, and given that we're dealing with very short timelines here in the end, probably.
Well, the main candidates seem to be Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney, with Christy Clark, the former BC Premier, as a dark horse. There is a lot of apprehension about both Carney and Freeland within the Liberal caucus, but I think caucus endorsements are a lot less important than they would have been if this was a very long race where MPs who don't actually have their own organizational network or fundraising network could develop it in time to bring in new supporters for a candidate. Then there's like this whole bunch of would-be potential like C-list candidates who are making their names or floating their names. And there is some concern within the party, as there always is, I should add, that they will be swamped with people who are not like true Liberals, that there will be either like this whole group of ethnic voters that will be mobilized. But this has always been the case. And then you have MPs sitting on the fence, like Anita Anand and François-Philippe Champagne and Melanie Joly, and maybe for good reasons, as Chantal had pointed out, that their cabinet portfolios are such that they don't want to be seen to jeopardize that relationship or their work. But I also think what's really going on in the minds of a lot of Liberals is this the leader that you're going to pick, not just for this election, but for the next election? Or is this the leader that's going to take the fall? The party will get rid of that leader, and then there will be a proper leadership race, a chance to rebuild, and then you move forward with another leader for 1 or 2 terms.
Yeah.
A lot of Liberals keep saying that, the party only gives leaders one chance, but that's not actually true. And I think that changes the calculation, but both for the leadership candidates and for people who would support them.
Okay, Chantal?
As someone who covered the last one who got a second chance, called John Turner, I spent a number of years watching how many knives the Liberals could drive into his back before he finally quit. So good luck to whoever wants to attempt it. It was not a pleasant spectacle. That being said, the Liberals are going to have to decide. If they want to go in the next election and try to be competitive, then they need to accept that the ballot box issue is going to be who can best manage Donald Trump.
Yeah.
If they think that they're going to lose the next election in any event, then they can go to all these people who may be able to rebuild over the next decade the party. But it's one or the other. And not all candidates suit bold profile. No candidate. So there is a decision to be made here. I also believe that Dominique Leblanc threw a wrench into François-Philippe Champagne and Mélanie Joly's rationale for running by saying, I'm staying because the emergency here requires my full attention. The first question, if they run, is going to be, how in the world are you going to justify leaving the battlefield to go fight this rather minor battle of the leadership?
That I hadn't thought of that. That's pretty interesting. Andrew?
The first question that comes to a lot of people's minds is, why would you want to run in the face of the presumed oblivion the party's facing in this election? And there's a couple of reasons. One is, if you are the winner out of the blocks, fortune favors the brave. In politics, if you have the initiative, maybe it doesn't work out for you, but more often than not, having the initiative beats waiting for the better opportunity. The person who goes first, more often than not, will do better. Secondly, expectations are so low for them that if you can do anything better than that, if you stave off utter disaster, you're going to look pretty good. So there's a reason why people might want to be running this time rather than waiting. The problem they've got for the party is, you look at the recognition numbers on these people who've been cabinet ministers for several years. Abacus, I think it was, did this survey on this, and it's just dismal. The prime minister's at 98%. I think the next one is Freeland at 17, something like that, maybe 20% in terms of recognition. This is after you show them photos. And then it drops off below that. Carney is sort of in there as well because he used to be a governor. So that's a problem for them. And then lastly, to be close to or seen to be close to the prime minister is not going to be a real advantage in this. Pretty clearly, if the party is trying to save the furniture, they're going to want somebody who's not terribly close to him. Freeland, I guess, got a bit of a leg up on that by the explosive way in which she parted company with him, but she's not loved within the party. She's not viewed as being a great communicator. I do think there's going to be a kind of a primary amongst the current cabinet ministers to see who ultimately faces off against Carney. I think that's when it's going to come down to.
Yeah. Chantal, you wanted in there?
I spent time once in a while over the past few years with Chrystia Freeland in Montreal, and I can testify that we were not noticed, or at least she was. I'm just saying there are too many pictures of Chrystia Freeland standing next to Justin Trudeau for her to, just on the basis of that resignation letter, have built a lot of distance from him, frankly.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I'm curious to see, because I believe by next week we should have a good sense of the lay of the land.
Yeah. I'm betting you were noticed, Chantal. I'm just going to put that out there. Last word to you, Althea. Last word to you.
I was going to say, I think the Prime Minister also threw like a wrench in Ms. Freeland's plans this week when he said in his press conference that he and Chrystia Freeland had been tied at the hip basically for the past 9 years. Yeah. I'm sure she was not happy to have him say that.
You may see that clip repeated.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The question of who can best represent change is an active one for a lot of Liberals. But I also think something worth noting and worth like a flagging going in is what and how will the party leadership position themselves on carbon pricing? I think we're going to see a lot of reversal on this front, a lot of asterisks and some messaging that perhaps we wouldn't expect from Liberals during this leadership race on something that has been the flagship policy of this government.
For sure. Okay, we'll talk lots more about all of this. Thank you. And with that, I'll send things back to Adrian in Toronto.
All right, thank you, Rosie. Coming up, a tale of escape.
And embers were flying and they were just tapping on my helmet.
The man who cycled through the flames to get back to his family. Next in our moment. In the chaos of those devastating fires in California right now, one moment stood out to us. It's an interaction between a reporter and a man on a bicycle. So that man on the bicycle is Francois Auroux, who, after checking on his neighbors, had to cycle through the flames and flying embers to save his life. Tonight, his frightening escape is our moment.
Is there anything we can do to help you, sir?
You can take these paintings, I guess. I can't ride with these.
Our neighbors, they said that they were going to stay behind, went up to check on them and make sure that everything was fine. And when I arrived at the house, I saw my neighbor and she told me that the backyard was on fire.
Yeah, this is our house. Backyard's on fire. I'm out of here.
Her palm trees went up in flames, so I ran into the house, grabbed my backpack. There were two paintings on the wall that were closest to the door. I just grabbed them. I grabbed my bike, got on my bike, and then I saw that news reporter and he said, can I help you with anything?
Is there anything we can do to help you, sir?
You can take these paintings, I guess. I can't ride with these.
I was looking at this fire. It was the most frightening thing I've ever seen. It went from nothing to just the darkest red cloud of fire. And all the embers were going across the street and embers were flying and they were just tapping on my helmet and hitting me all over. But, I was able to get out. Our house burned down. My family, luckily, were able to be together, but entire swaths of LA burnt down to the ground, and LA will never be the same. It's an emergency alert. Evacuation warning for my area. Okay, we're gonna evacuate, so I'm gonna end this early. All right, thank you.
Okay, so he had to go again. We're checking on him to make sure he's okay. As he said, he lost his house, and good for him for checking on his neighbors. Good for the kindness of that reporter who greeted him. People are going to need a lot of patience and a lot of kindness. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.